Hello all. A wonderful morning to all the participants who have joined the webinar today. You're looking at the Endpoint Management Solutions portfolio. So these are the list of products what we offer for the Endpoint Management section under ManageEngine. And today I'm going to extensively talk about the Mobile Device Manager Plus solution. So welcome you all for the Mobile Device Manager Plus training program. My name is Ruben Karthik, and I'm a product specialist, and I've associated with ManageEngine for the past 6 years. I do the training and implementation for the endpoint management solutions. All right, so this is our training schedule. It is a 3-week series, and we are in the second week of the training program, where I'm going to demonstrate about the app management and device security provisioning using our MDM product. Last week, we had about device onboarding process. So what are the different ways through which you can onboard your devices into the management scope? And next week, it will be about the modern management of Windows 10 and MacBooks using our MDM module. And all the sessions will be recorded, and you can find the recorded training video in the below mentioned URL. And also the registered participants will get the recorded video once after the webinar is over. All right, let's see the training agenda, what I have in store for today. So first, I'm going to give a quick introduction about the Mobile Device Manager Plus product, the architecture and the ports required to manage your devices, and how exactly an end device will be managed using a solution. So this section is important for those who are evaluating our solution or who are new to the MDM side of it. And I'm going to give a quick introduction about that. Followed by, we'll get into the topic where I'm going to demonstrate how you can install, uninstall, and update your application using a product, and how you can test and deploy your own enterprise application to your managed devices will also be covered today. Followed by, I'll also demonstrate how we can secure the data and present in your devices, how we can block certain malicious app on the devices, and if you have any point of sale devices, how we can lock them with certain applications along, like whitelisting the apps on the devices will also be demonstrated. And also how we can remotely troubleshoot devices, how we can remotely connect to a managed device and help the users in troubleshooting. And the benefits of scheduling the OS update, and how exactly you can lock your devices to a particular geofencing location. So that is also I have in the scenario today. Followed by, I'll also demonstrate how we can secure if a device is lost or stolen, how we can secure the corporate data available on the device and also the device itself. Followed by, based on my support experience, I'm going to share some real-time scenarios and the best solutions for it. Meanwhile, if you, the viewers, have any question for us, you can always comment in the chat section, and our expert panel will be answering your questions right away. All right, let me give you the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. These are the list of operating system and device type which is supported in our MDM module. So for Apple devices, you could manage iPhone, iPad, MacBook, and Apple TVs. And for Android, it could be Android device, Android tablets, and even we start for Android TVs now. And for Windows, Windows Phone, Windows Tablet, Windows Laptop, and Surface App, and Chromebooks. So these are the device type and the operating system which you could manage using this Mobile Device Manager Plus product. And the MDM itself is available in 3 flavors as an integrated solution with Desktop Central. So Desktop Central is a unified endpoint management software where you can manage your laptop, desktop servers. Along with that, you'll also be able to manage the smart devices under the Desktop Central console. And in case if you're looking for only the mobile devices or tablet, then we do offer the standalone Mobile Device Manager Plus product, which is available on both on-premise and cloud. And if you are going to manage devices from different companies, like if you have any MSP audience today, like multiple service provider, and we do have a multi-tenant architecture supported in our Mobile Device Manager Plus MSP edition, which is available on both cloud and on-prem. And we understand an admin might need to integrate with as many applications as possible in order to ease the administration tasks. So that's why we support integrating our MDM module with our own ticketing software called ManageEngine Service Desk Plus, and other help desk solutions like Spicework, Jira Service Desk, Zendesk, and ServiceNow. We can integrate your help the solutions with our ManageEngine MDM. And also we offer the integration with our own client relationship management software called Zoho CRM and the Zoho Creator application as well. So in case if you're planning to integrate with any other solution apart from this, we do provide the public available API for it through which you can also perform an integration. And now let me tell you the architecture, how exactly an end device will be managed using our solution, not just ours, be it any MDM solution you go with. This is the universal architecture through which a mobile device will be managed. So first, there are three major components required. One is the MDM server, second is the notification services, and third is the end device itself. And these are the three major components plays a role when it comes to managing a device. So first, either you can go with on-premise MDM server, if not a cloud instance. And whenever you initiate any command, let's say to explain the architecture in a better way, let me take an example. And I'm an admin, I wish to find out the location of my user's device, or say I want to distribute an application to the device. So what I'll do, I'll log into the product console, initiate a command, either say let's locate device. This command will be sent to the notification services. So if it is an Apple device, the Apple push notification service will receive this command, and using the unique numbers like IMI or UDID number, using which the notification services will contact the device and wakes up it. So once the device is contacted, it will then reach the MDM server to know what command to execute. In this example, if it is locate device, it will perform the geo tracking, fetch the coordinates, and send back to the console. So as an admin, I'll be able to see that in a map view. So this is how the communication flow will be. If it is for an Android device, the Fire-based cloud messaging service will come into the picture and wake up the device. And for Windows, it will be Windows notification services. So be it any command, it will be sent to the notification services, and then it reaches the end device, which in turn will contact the server to process them. Here is where you can choose either to go with on-prem or cloud-based edition. So if you go with on-premise, you might need to make sure the MDM server is accessible to the device. If they are within the corporate network, then it is fine. But if their devices are scattered in different locations, then you need to make sure the device can reach the server. So either you can expose your internal MDM server to a public FQD or an IP address. If not, you can also place an additional component called secure gateway, which will be accessible to all the internet devices. So the device will contact the secure gateway server, which in turn will redirect the communication to the MDM server and move forward. So that's how you can go forward with either choosing an MDM cloud instance or an on-premise version. And we do support integration with Active Directory services for grouping or even for easy user assignment process. And we will discuss that in the upcoming slide. And if you go with on-prem, you might need to allow these ports in your network. So 9383 port will be used for the devices to communicate with the MDM server, and 443 for the server to the notification services. And when it comes to device notification service, it uses these ports. But if you go with cloud, the instance will already be available on the data center, so it is already available on the cloud to reach, and the notification services are available on the internet. The only thing you need to make sure is the device needs to have an internet connection, either in a home Wi-Fi or a corporate Wi-Fi or mobile data. If they have internet connection, you could easily manage when you go with MDM cloud instance. But if you go with on-prem, you might need to allow these ports in your network. So you can also go through the below mentioned URL to know more about the inbound and outbound port information. As you even saw the architecture now, the solution also follows the client and server model. So you might need to have the MDM app or profile deployed on all your devices in order to manage. So when it comes to Android, you might need to necessarily have the MDM app deployed on the devices. But when it comes to Apple, Windows, or Chromebook, you don't need to have a separate app deployed. We just leverage the native OS client available on these devices, using which we will deploy the MDM profile and manage the devices. So I've explained about the different ways of onboarding process in the previous webinar. So in case if you wish to get a recorded training video of it, you can reach us via chat. If not, you can go to the training URL where you can find about the onboarding process and the different ways of installing the MDM profiler app on the devices. Right, now let's get into the topic of app management part. So first, I'm going to show you how we can install and manage your business application using a product. Before that, let me give you a quick tour about the MDM solution itself. So this is how the MDM console will look like. Under the home section, you can check the device types you manage, how many smartphones and tablets you manage. You can see those information here, and the list of operating system wise split up. And in case if you have a role-based administration where multiple technicians will manage the devices, as a super admin, you'll also be able to see which action has been done by which technician. You can see the audit log details here. And moreover, let's say if you want to know the list of Android devices you manage, you can just click on this link. This automatically takes you to the inventory tab, that lists down the devices and applies a filter called Android. So these are the Android devices I manage. An admin can choose the required columns to see it under the inventory dashboard. So inventory is basically where you can see the asset information of the devices you manage. This might be helpful for reporting purposes as well. And device management is where you do the basic management actions like configuring profiles, distributing application and documents, and even if you can remotely control. So I'll be playing out with a lot of options available in this particular tab today. Apart from the device information, an admin can also see the location data. So you can see the location, the device location in a single map. So all your devices, where exactly they are located at. And if in case, if you want to immediately initiate any command, you can just click on the device name and enable these quick commands from it. And enrollment is where you onboard your devices. There are different type of enrollments we have based on the management scope. If it is a BYOD device, you might need to follow a separate procedure through which it creates a workspace on the device. When it comes to corporate devices, you might need to follow the process mentioned under the Apple and Android operating system section. And we do have some predefined reports available. So you can make use of this as well for auditing purposes. In case if you want to schedule certain reports, let's say I'm an admin, I wish to check certain app report on a weekly basis, I can go on and schedule the apps by devices and app installation summary. Or if in case if a new app has been detected, you can choose the required app report from here and choose the frequency. Let's say I want to see these reports on a weekly basis, like every Monday morning and Friday. I would like to check these reports. I can just go and schedule it. And also you can choose the required format for these reports to be sent and to update the email address for which the report has to be sent to your administrator address. And under admin tab, you can do the basic administration actions like creating roles or users and assigning the appropriate roles and devices to them. And even if you wish to rebrand your own company logo instead of ManageEngine and MDM on the console, you'd have an option to upload your own company logo or image here and rebrand the console. And you can do the basic administrations action here. And under support tab, you will have the different types of support channels. In case if you wish to immediately get in touch with our support technician, you can go with live chat. This is a 24/5 live chat channel, so you can get in touch with our technical team at any time. And in case if you wish to prefer talking over the phone instead of chatting with the technician, you do have the support toll-free numbers available. And if you want to create a support ticket or if you want to schedule a remote session, you do have the option to click on request support and register it in the forms. So you have these mode of support channels to reach our technical team. All right, now let's get into the topic of app management part. So each MDM instance, either an on-premise or a cloud instance, will have their own app repository created. So for an admin, in order to distribute app, you must need to add the required application to your app repository and then distribute to the devices. And when you distribute a Play Store application, the apps will be downloaded from the appropriate store location. So for iOS, it goes to the Apple Store. For Android, it goes to the Play Store likewise. And if it is your own enterprise application, the apps will be downloaded from the MDM server. So first, you might need to add the required application to your repository. Let me show you how we can add a Play Store application to the repository. So you can go to the device management section, app repository, and you can click on add app. So you have different sections here. So you can add an Apple App Store or an Android Play Store. So based on the business requirement, you can add your required application. Let me first show you how we can add an Apple App Store. So you can choose the appropriate Play Store location. Let's say if you're located at United Kingdom, you can go with choosing this particular Play Store and then search for the required application. Let's say I want to deploy our Zoho Creator application to my employees. So I'll just go and search for the application. So it'll be available. You can just click on next. And where you can also choose what should happen if to the app if the MDM profile is removed. Say it is a personal employee's own device, and if the employee leaves the organization, or say if the user decommission the device, I want to automatically remove this particular application as well. So you can enable this option. And if you want to prevent the users from taking a backup on these app information, you can also restrict that. Likewise, you can go and save the required app permissions on these devices, and that gets saved to the app repository. So once after the app has been saved to your repository, you can just click on here. If not, you can go to the groups and devices section automatically. And I would recommend you to test the app deployment or profile deployment on 1 or 2 devices first. In case if you have a test group created, you can also go with group and select the appropriate test group and deploy the application. If not, you can choose the devices. And let's say this is an Apple App Store application. So I'm going to filter it based on the Apple operating system. Let me test this Zoho Creator deployment on one of my iPhones. So I'll just go and select this device, click on action, and you will have the distribute app section here. So you can search for the app name. And so you will have 2 options. First, let me show you how we can distribute the app catalog. This is like a self-service portal where the users can go and initiate the app deployment part. And so first, let me show you how we can distribute the app catalog and how the users can be notified, and then based on their approval, it goes installed. So this is how the deployment template will even look like. The right administrator have deployed the following app, and the steps to install will be clearly mentioned on the email address. So automatically, the users will get the appropriate prompt. Say, so this is the user's email address, and when I go and distribute this appropriate application, it will be notified to that user accordingly. And once after you distribute the app, the end user has to go to the ManageEngine MDM app, click on App Catalog. So the users would see the list of app being distributed to them, and the user has to click on Install. So once the user clicks on Install, then it prompts the user's iTunes account for completing the installation. The end user has to update their iTunes detail, and then click on OK, which lets the app to be deployed. So that's where the installation will take place and the app will be deployed on it. And as you could see, when you distribute the application to the app catalog, we saw every device needs to, every user has to provide their own iTunes account, and obviously the user intervention is required to complete the app deployment part. So that's why we support silent app deployment method. We call it as automate app deployment process. For Apple devices, we have Apple Business Manager, and for Android, we have Manage Google Play Service, using which you can silently deploy. So that will use a corporate Apple account or a corporate Gmail or a G Suite account, using which the apps can be silently deployed to all the devices. As a prerequisite, you must need to have an Apple Business Manager account or a Google account for integrating your MDM instance with the appropriate portals. And for iOS, the device must be supervised. Only then you can silently deploy. If not, this will prompt the users for the app installation, and only when they click on OK, the app will start to install. Again, this will not prompt the user's iTunes account for the deployment, but if it is supervised, even without asking for the prompt or say for the app installation prompt, this app will be silently deployed. And for Android, the device must be running above Android 5 or later version. And for the silent app deployment part, this is the workflow. You might need to integrate your MDM server with the appropriate portals, either Apple Business Manager portal or Manage Google Play Services, through which you can approve or purchase the application and distribute the devices. Then the apps would be silently installed using the corporate Apple account or Google account you have used. So let me show you how we can integrate your MDM instance with the Apple Business Manager or Manage Google Play Services. So you can go to the Apple App Management part. I've already integrated with my MDM instance. Let me take one of my servers here. So you can go to the app section, Apple App Management, and you will have 2 options here. One, configure app for business, and configure app for school. So Apple offers two portals, one for the business purposes and then another portal for school or educational institution. They call it as Apple School Manager. Let's say I'm going to integrate for the business purposes. So I'll just go with the first option. And in case if you have an Apple Business Manager account, you can just click on this portal. That's automatically takes you to the ABM portal. And in case if you don't have an account, you do have an option to create one from here. So using your corporate Apple ID, you can create an ABM account. This is a free program offered by Apple itself for business management. And you can log into your ABM portal, then go to settings, apps and books, where you can integrate your ABM server and download the S token for it. So you go to the apps and books section, you will have the S token available here. Once after you download the S token, you can upload that in our product. And this S token is valid only for 365 days. So you might need to renew this S token every year. And that's the reason you might need to enter your email address here so that you get notified about the expiry. And then you can choose the app installation to be without Apple ID. Because if you go with prompts for Apple ID, even though you add apps from the Apple Business Manager portal, still the users will be prompted for the app deployment part. That's why you could go without Apple ID and upload the token to save it. So once after you integrate, you could see a portal like this where it shows the list of apps being synced from your appropriate MDM portal or ABM portals and then added to the repository. So before I showed you how we can go to Apple App Store and add the application here. But when it comes to silent deployment, you might need to add the application from the ABM portal itself. Let me show you how. So before I deployed Zoho Creator, now let's say you can use Zoho Meetings for conferencing. So you can just search for the required application here, and you can click on the app name, and you must need to make sure this particular option is defined, like device assignable. So only if an app has been marked as device assignable, only then an admin can remotely or silently deploy the application to the device in. So once after selecting the device, you can choose the appropriate MDM server and then provide the quantity. So this is for licensing purpose. Even if it is a free application, the Apple demands to enter the number of devices for which you're going to distribute this app, and then click on Get. So once after you click on Get, this particular Zoho meeting application will be added to your appropriate repository. So you can go to the app repository section and search for the application here. And let's assume I have tested this Zoho meeting applications on few devices. So I'll just go to groups, select all users. I want all my users to have the Zoho meeting application. So just select the group and distribute this application. And now I will choose the option to be silently deployed. So once after you click on select, the apps will start to silently deploy it on the user end. And here, when you deploy the application, the users, if it is a supervised device, meaning if a device has been enrolled through Apple Business Manager or Apple Configurator, the app will straight away start to install like it is shown in the screen. So it will start to install right away, and then it gets completed. In case if it is a non-supervised device, but still this application has been added through the ABM portal, so it can use the corporate Apple Business Manager account for installation. It will just simply ask for the users to click on OK or cancel. So if the users clicks on OK for the app deployment prompt, it will straight away start to install like it is shown in the message. In case if the user clicks on cancel, the app will get listed under the MDM app catalog section where the user has to go and initiate it. And even when the user initiated from the app catalog section, it will still not prompt for the Apple ID. It will start to install right away. This is how it works for the supervised and non-supervised device for the silent app deployment part. And Apple recommends to have the device connected to a Wi-Fi if the app size exceeds more than 200 MB. So they don't want to choke the network or the mobile data usage. So the Apple itself recommends to have the devices connected to a Wi-Fi if the app size exceeds 200 MB. And now let me show you how we can integrate with Manage Google Play service and then add the Android Play Store application to the portal. So again, I have added the Manage Google Play service with my standalone mobile device managed solution. So I manage around 100 devices using this particular instance. So I've already integrated my corporate Gmail account with the Manage Google Play service for this. But in case if you haven't integrated, you would see an option like this, where you can choose to either go with G Suite integration, if not without G Suite. So you can also use your corporate Gmail account or a common Gmail account using which the apps will be deployed on all the devices. And this is how the desktop central console will even look like, where you could do the patching and software installation tasks for your computers. Along with that, you'll also be able to make use of the MDM module. So now let me show you how we can integrate your MDM instance with Managed Google Play service. So I'll go without G Suite. I'm going to integrate with my corporate Gmail account. So I'll just click on Configure now. And you will get an option like this, Get Started. You can click on this option, and where it asks you to provide your business name. And you must need to make sure you have this enterprise mobile management provider as ManageEngine EMM. So this is our code. You need to verify whether it's get updated correctly, and then click on Next. And you have to provide two employees details here, or the technician details here. This has become mandatory after the GDPR has been passed. So there will be two offices which will be nominated for data protection and EU representative, or the users will be contacted by the Google team or the Android Play Store team in order to discuss about any license of privacy documents. So these information has been mandatory once after the GDPR has been passed. So you have to update these details, and then click on this option. I've read the agreement based on the Managed Google Play, and then confirm it. So once after you perform these steps, your instance will be registered with the Managed Google Play service. Moving forward, you can just go to the Manage Google Play Service tab under App Repository, and they would see the options like this. So this is my domain name, which I've updated during the integration part, and I've used a non-G Suite account, and the enterprise ID will be generated. Now, in order to silently deploy an application or an Android Play Store application to my devices, I can just click on Add App section here. This will automatically bring up the Play Store UI here, since we have this iFrame integration. Now you can search for the required details. Let's say I deploy Zoho CRM or any application. You can just search for it, click on the app name, and then you need to click on Approve. Let's say let me unapprove this application and re-add them to the repository. So you can search for any app you wish. Once after you approve the application, that gets synced to your app repository. And you do have an option to save and sync here. So once you click on Save and Sync, this automatically start to sync with the list of app has been approved from my Managed Google Play service. So automatically the apps will get to list here. And I just click on the app name. So you do have additional options which you can configure using your product. Let's say I'm going to customize certain app permissions. I don't want my users to disable the location data when they use this particular CRM or sales application. So just go and deny this. So the users cannot change this application. So always allow or the contact sync. And I don't want my users to perform the call log using this application. So likewise, you can choose the certain app permission using a product. So once after you click on Save, the app will be customized based on your requirement. And as usual, you can go to the Groups and Devices section. Either you can go to an individual device and test this app deployment and make sure whether the permissions are configured correctly. And then you can go to Groups and select the appropriate groups and deploy to your devices. And moreover, when it comes to creating a group, you have 3 ways of doing it. Either you can go with device basis. Let's say I'm going to create a test group and add the required devices to it. You do have an option to select the appropriate devices and form a group. And in case if you want to go with user basis, because one user might have 2 to 3 devices under him, one iPad, iPhone, and then a MacBook. Likewise, if you want to go with the user-based group, you do have an option here. If not, if you want to integrate with your directory services, if you already group your devices in your Active Directory, you do have an option where you can enable the sync And automatically, whatever groups you've created from your directory service, be it Azure AD or on-premise or a G Suite or a Okta directory service, the groups will automatically start to sync here, using which you can distribute applications or policies to your devices. Let's assume I'm going to test, or I'm going to deploy this Android Play Store application, which has been added through the Manage Google Play service. I'm going to select this app and choose silent installation. Click on select. That's it. This will start to install on the user end. The app will be deployed. In case if it is a personal employee's own device, the app will be installed within the workspace created on the device. So the Zoho CRM application will have a briefcase icon which shows this is a work application. And moreover, when the user tries to change any of the app permission, you could see the option will be disabled. So by default, whatever you configure under our app repository, it will be updated automatically onto the apps which distribute the devices. So this is how you can add the application either from Play Store or from the Manage Google Play service and remotely deploy to your end devices. And now I'm showing you about installing the updates. Now, in case if there is an app update available, how we can achieve that using our MDM solution. So you have two ways. One, you can enable an automate app update. So this is only for Play Store application. So when you click on this option, automatically, whenever there is an app, a latest version available, or if an app update is required, it will start to update on all the installed devices. In case, if you want to take control, I want to manually select the required app and then update them, then you can uncheck this option, then go to app repository section, where you can see the list of app which needs the update. So it shows 6 apps which needs an update. I can click on the count, which shows only those 6 apps which needs an update. I can click on the appropriate app name. And then you can go and update it to all the devices. If not, you can choose the individual device even and then update and see the status here. So that's how we can control the app updates. Either you can go with automatic. If not, you can manually click on the count and then update the devices. Now let me show you how we can manage your own enterprise applications. Any users might have their own app and they would look for a way to remotely distribute this application to the devices. So, and for that, do we need to have an ABM or a managed Google Play account for this? No, it's not required. And is it possible for testing this application before deploying? Yes, we do have the test and approved deployment process for your own enterprise application, which I'm going to show you now. And as a prerequisite, for an iOS, the device should be supervised. Only for corporate devices, you can distribute the enterprise application or the IPA files. And when it comes to Android, the device must be Samsung. If not, it should be provisioned as a device owner, so that you can deploy the APK files remotely to all your devices. So again, in order to add your own application, you have to go to the app repository, click on Add App. So you will have Apple Enterprise Application where you can upload the APA file. And in case if you want to add the Android Enterprise Application, you can choose the APK file here. Let's say I'm going to deploy our APK. So I'm just browsing for the APK file, and it automatically starts to validate and fetches these details, like it shows the Zoho delivery application and the app version, and you can see the app details here. And even if you want to pre-configure certain details to the application, you have this dynamic variable which you can configure and save the app to your repository. So all you need to do is just browse for the APK file and upload it to your repository. Even if you have these services on certain cloud-based service, you do have an option to browse and select the APK file from your cloud services. And once after the app has been added, you can again go to groups and devices, select the required groups. Let's say I'm going to deploy this Zoho delivery application to my sales and HR department. I'm going to select, and I can even use the app type to be enterprise application, and it's an Android enterprise. So I'll just use this filter this way, and I will silently deploy. Since it is a corporate app, I want to be silently deployed to all my users. So that's how you distribute. And now when it comes to an update, so as I said before, if it is a Play Store application, you can either go with automatic option. If not, you can click on the app name and do it. But when it comes to your own application, you can click on the app name, and you can upload the new version. Let's say after a month or two, there is a new update available, which has certain enhanced features and additional options enabled on the application. You can just search for the other APK file. And once you upload, it will validate. See, there is already an older version of the app is available, and now, which is 1.0. Now the version you are trying to add is 2.0, which will act like a beta version. And now you can go ahead and test this beta version to all the devices, or say with your few testing devices, and then approve to your production environment. Let's say this will stable one is 1.0, and the one which I've added now is version 2.0, which I'm going to test it with few devices. I'm going to distribute this update on my test group. Let's say I have a test group. I'm going to test these application update on these devices. And during the testing, let's assume I got found out this app seems to be crashing. The latest update seems to be causing some problem with the application. Then I can just go and replace this, because I tested this beta, which seems to be corrupted. So I'm going to replace this with another version. So I have this 2.11, which I'm going to follow the same process. So I'm going to test this again, and the beta version will change from 2.0 to 2.1. And I'm going to test this with my own devices again. And with this testing, if I found that the app update seems to be working fine on all the devices, only then I'm going to mark this as stable. So when I mark this as stable, automatically it will prompt me these three options. Either you want to update this 2.1 version to all your devices automatically. If not, you want to distribute to the app catalog, where the users can go and initiate the update. Like this, you can choose the appropriate option and then update your enterprise application. So you do have an option to upload your own app and distribute your devices. And even when there is an update available, you can test them and then approve it to your production devices. This is how you can manage your own enterprise application using a product. So if you have any questions related to the app installation or update option, you can feel free to comment in the chat, and our chat team can, or our panel team can help you with it. Now let me show you how we can prevent your users from installing any malicious app. So we do have profiles through which you can customize the device settings. So you can go to profile, create a profile for iOS or Android based on the operating system. You can go and restrict the app installation process itself. Let's say you can go to the restrictions tab, where you can restrict camera, FaceTime, or add raw functionalities on your devices. So for this scenario, let's say I want to prevent my users from installing any malicious app, then I'll just go and enable this particular restriction. So when you enable this will, after applying this profile, let's say I don't want my users to install any app, I'll just save this profile and I'll publish this profile so that I can go and deploy to all my users. So once after I apply this profile to my users, they will not be able to install any application from the Play Store. The only way they can get the app is through the app catalog, or if I deploy an application to my employees. That's the only way the users can get the application. So this way you can control the installation of apps even. Moreover, if the app is already installed, then you do have two ways. One, you can go to inventory section and find out the list of apps being installed on your devices. You can see the list of apps being deployed in your network or in your managed devices. Say I want to restrict MX Player on the device. So I can select the appropriate application and block them. And I can either block for all my devices, if not to only specific group. And also choose an action to be performed. So once after I block an application, should it uninstall immediately, or then just send a notification, or just send a notification and then uninstall? Like this, you can choose the appropriate option to happen on the blocked application. So this way you can even prevent or access the list of apps being installed on the devices. So now we can prevent the users from accessing malicious websites. I've shown you about an app. Now, in order to restrict users from browsing, you do have an option to create a profile. So either you can go to device management and create a profile. If not, you have this quick options here where you can go and click on create new and choose an Android profile. Since I'm going to, it's always better to give a name to the profile so that you will know for which purpose you've created this profile settings. I'm going to create this for web content filtering. I'm going to restrict certain website from accessing. So just go to web content filter, and I will add the required websites needs to be blocked. If not, you can go with allow list. So when you go with allow list, whatever web URLs you mention here, only that will be only that can be accessed from the devices. But apart from that, every website will be restricted. So you can either go with allow list or block list option. And how you can whitelist specific apps. This is like you might have certain point of sale devices where you want to lock these devices with certain applications alone. Apart from that, I don't want my users to use any other application. And for that, we have this kiosk profile where you can lock your devices with certain application alone. Either you can go with single app. Say, if you go with single app, as soon as the user unlocks the device, this app will automatically launch, and only this app can be used by the users. They cannot hit on back button. The users cannot do any other actions apart from using this application. It's like locking the devices with a single app mode. And you can also lock the devices with multi-application, where you can choose the required app, and even you can add certain apps in the hidden section. Only if certain application depends on the so-and-so app, you can add those details here. And you can even configure the kiosk passcode in case if the user wants to use certain options on the device, and if you want them to disable it, or if you want to configure a passcode for exiting the kiosk mode, you do have an option here. And if you use our MDM launcher, you do have options to customize other settings, like either to allow status bar or status bar expansion, where the users can even read the notification section, and device volume control. And if you want to give access to the power button, you can. If not, you can restrict these options too. And custom settings, if you want certain apps to be automatically launched, you do have an option to go with the advanced settings, that if the device was idle for certain seconds, the appropriate app will automatically get launched on the device end. And custom settings helps you to for the users to either use Wi-Fi, disable Wi-Fi, or even go with disabling mobile networks. Likewise, you can choose the appropriate option on the device end. And we even started supporting the home screen layout options now, where you can choose the home screen display. So how you wish to have the icon displayed on the devices, and whether you want to have a large icon on the devices. Likewise, you can choose the appropriate home screen customization layout, and you can deploy to your devices. So this is how you can create a kiosk profile with certain application and save this profile. Like you've said, you can distribute this profile to one or two devices initially. Make sure the app gets, the device gets locked with the required application, and even the certain websites is not accessible, or the users cannot go to Play Store. Likewise, you can test this profile on few devices first, and then go out with the group-based deployment. So if you deploy or if you lock a device with this restriction, this is how the screen would look like. So when you go with the single app mode, where you lock the device with Google Maps alone, automatically when the user unlocks the phone, Google Map will launch on the device end. And if you go with multi-app, the users can only see these three applications. And if you provide access to the custom settings like disabling Wi-Fi or notification bar, then the user will be able to do it. Apart from that, the users will not be able to use any app option. So even if you want to give the user access for calling or messaging, then you might need to add the required applications under the kiosk profile. And now let me show you how you can troubleshoot a device, in case you might wonder if the device is a corporate device, and the device is outside the organization with the field agents. And if the agents are not that technical, how easily you can help them in troubleshooting the problems is what I'm going to help show you now. So we do have this remote option now, remote control option for the mobile devices, and you can remotely control certain Android devices like Samsung, Sony, Lenovo. There are a couple of devices only support remote control options now, whereas other Android devices and Apple devices can be remotely viewed. So you can only remotely view, but you'll not be able to control, like opening the app or typing anything on the devices. Likewise, you'll not be able to control. So remote control is supported only on these manufacturers. So in case if you have any other device type apart from this, which is a corporate phone, and you want to have remote control feature, you can even contact our support team. We'll help you with signing up our MDM remote control plugin app with the device manufacturer. So manufacturer has to support this feature in order to remotely control. If not, using our MDM app, you can remotely view. So whichever device runs above 5.0 or the iOS above 11.0 can be remotely viewed. Let me take one of my test device and show you how you can remotely connect and troubleshoot these cases. So all you need to do is just click on remote view, or if you have certain remote control device supported, you do have the option here. So certain devices can be controlled or remotely viewed. But however, I have a test device. Yes. So once after the user accepts the prompt, it would start the session where an end users can see the screen. So this is my own test device. You can see the end device like this, and you do have, this is how the ME-MDM app looks like. But inside the ME-MDM is where you have the app catalog section, where the users can see the list of app being distributed. So if it is an app installation, you will see it under the all app section. If it is an update, you can go to the updates tab and see the list of app being the app updates available. And content catalog is also available, where users can securely share documents and files to your users. So likewise, so this is how you can remotely connect your device. And if you wish to see how exactly the kiosk mode will look like, let me apply the kiosk profile to this device and show you real time. This is my test device, and I'm going to apply this kiosk profile. So this device gets locked with the application, whatever you have configured, and in case if you want to exit kiosk mode, you do have an option to delete it from here. So it gets locked with the, I've been testing with my own wallpaper settings, that's why you could see something like that. So you can lock your devices with the required profile and required application, and you can distribute your devices, where it locks the device only with the configured app application. So I've locked my device with these 3 applications alone, and I was testing with my own wallpaper settings and device customization option. Ultimately, this is how we can remotely connect and help the field technicians if in case if they have any problem. Instead of explaining the steps or procedures to resolve the case over the phone, you can remotely connect and then navigate to them, or even you can take control on certain corporate devices and be able to take actions on it. Likewise, we do start supporting remote control option using our MDM. And now, in case if you want to restrict the devices to a particular geographical location, then you do have an option to go with geofencing. So you can lock your devices to a particular location alone, where you can create a fence. And you do have an option to create a fence repository from 150 meters to 500 kilometers. Let's say I want to lock my devices on so location. Let's say if we wish to lock my devices on North Dakota with 100-kilometer radius, you can just create a fence based on your business need. So either any location, you can just search for it. Even so, let's say I want to lock my devices in London, so you can just go with it and choose the appropriate radius here. And if any user steps outside this location, then automatically you can enable certain notification alerts to it. So first, you need to create a fence repository with the appropriate device locations you wish based on the business need. And then you go and create a policy. Let's say if a user steps outside the London fence, immediately I want to get notified about it. So I'll choose my email address here, and I want to be notified about it. So you can choose the appropriate email address and save the settings. And also immediately I want to lock my device. So I'll go with this option. So if anyone steps outside this particular geolocation, immediately I want to lock my device. So this is like, if the user steps outside, it locks the phone and also generates an alarm. So in case if you want to notify the users about moving or leaving the geofence, you can also generate an alarm and put a notification like this. Kindly get back to the location, get back to the office location. In case if they have any emergency purpose, they can also mention your contact number here, so they can call and inform you, where an admin can go and disable the lost mode from the inventory section. This is how we can lock your devices to a particular geographical location. Moreover, if the user didn't come back within a day, you do have an option to completely wipe it. So I don't want to lose the corporate data and I want to take actions on this aspect. You can create a fence repository and create a policy based on these settings. Once after creating the policy, you can select this policy and apply to certain groups alone. Let's say because let's say sales and marketing people will travel to different places. So I don't want to lock that devices to a particular location. Then you can select all the other groups, select all and just leave the sales and marketing department alone. Likewise, you can choose the appropriate groups for the geolocation or geofencing policies. And now I'm going to show you about the necessity of automating the OS update and what would be the disadvantage if your devices are running in a lesser version. As you know, it misses out the security patches and older versions tends to get slower with time. Moreover, certain app, whichever, if in case of your app developer develops certain enterprise application, he would develop it based on certain OS compatibility, but maybe let's say with the latest version. That is the reason you might need to have a schedule and automate OS update process. It's just going to be a one-time setup, and you can define when to update your OS on all the devices you manage. And also, you can notify the users about it. If in case if the user wants to skip the OS update also, they do have an option. Let me quickly show you those options available in the product. So you can go to the device management section, automate OS updates here, and you can create a policy for iOS or Android based on the need. And you can either create different policy. Let's say I'm going to create an Android test policy, which will update the OS immediately. So whenever Google or Android releases an update, if you want to automatically update the OS on the devices, then I will create a policy with this option and apply this policy only to certain test devices. But when it comes to production environment, I'll create a separate policy and I will delay it for 7 days. So for 1 week, I wanted to delay it, and I will choose the preferred week of the month, days of the week, and even the timing. Let's say I want to deploy the updates only from morning 10 to evening 6. You do have an option to define here. And you can also you can notify the users about the update. If not, you can even allow the users to skip the update. Let's say first, whenever the update comes out, it will be delayed for 7 days. Then after, the user itself can skip for 7 more days. So totally a device will be with the lesser version for 14 days. Then after, it will forcefully update the OS on all the devices you manage. So if you apply this policy too. So you can create an OS update policy based on your business requirement and then distribute to the devices. So this is how we can automate your OS update using our ManageEngine solution. And how we can secure a device when it is lost or stolen. So this is a use case where I've experienced a lot of my customers who when would report or reach support in order to know these options. So you can go to the inventory tab, say if an employee reports that his device is lost or stolen in the train station or anywhere, you can immediately go to the inventory tab, click on the device name, and you can first locate the device command so that you will know where exactly the device is located at. And when it comes to geo-tracking feature in our solution, it's not just the current location, even if you want to know the location history. So the movement of the users can also be tracked. So if you want to know where exactly the user is traveling on these days, you can see those device location being updated too. So at this time, the user was at this location. And every 100 meters or 1 kilometer movement will also be tracked. So you do have the location history tracking. If you want, you can enable this feature as well. So when a device is lost or stolen, you can locate the device and find out the movement and then immediately lock the device as well. Like I've said in the geofencing policy itself, when you enable this mode, no option will be enabled for the users. The only thing the users can do is click on call and you can mention whichever number the call has to land. This is how the device will look like. The users will not be able to swipe the notification bar and put the device into airplane mode or turn off the device, or even if the device gets charged low or if the device gets switched off, if the user connects back, it will still come back with this very same screen. So that's how you completely lock the device with this mode. So the users will not be able to use any other location. And in case if you got the device back, then you can go and disable this mode. Even you would have an option to choose a secure complex passcode when you enable this mode. Let's say I assume my user might have selected an easy passcode like 1234. Likewise, you can even lock this device with this particular new passcode. So even if the end user itself got the device back, still they have to contact you and provide this appropriate passcode to unlock the device. If not, it will be sent as to the user's email address as well. So that's how you can lock or secure the devices when it is lost or stolen. And this is how the device would look like, as I've said. And now I'm going to share some quick real-time scenarios and the solutions for it. First scenario I've taken is how can you prevent the user from uninstalling any corporate app? I've shown you how we can restrict the user from installing. What if in case if the end user tries to uninstall the apps, whatever I distribute? Then again, you have the same restriction profile. You can create it under the device management profile section. You can go to the restrictions tab, application restriction, and block this option so that the users cannot uninstall any app you have distributed through a product. Just to make sure the corporate app is always there on the devices. So only way if you want to remove, only an admin can go to the inventory and remove it. If not, from the device management, you can remove the application. Second scenario, user has reset the device and left the organization. Upon reactivating, we are prompted to enter the user's credential. Yes, this has been launched on the Android latest version now. So even if it is a corporate phone and the end users have left the organization, it will still prompt for the previous users' Gmail ID or the email ID they have configured on the device and to unlock it. So for the safer side, if you are planning to manage corporate devices, I would recommend you to configure this EFRP profile. That's the Enterprise Factory Reset Protection profile, through which you can add the corporate administrator's email address. You can add multiple email addresses here and choose the account ID. So you can also go through this help article to know your organization's account ID. So by providing this, even though the user left the organization and there is no way you can contact him back to unlock the device, you can use your corporate email address, whatever you're mentioning here. Let's say I'm going to update my email address here. So using this, I'll be able to unlock any device. So to whichever device I've distributed this profile, I can unlock it with using this particular section. So say I've distributed this particular EFRP profile to all my users, then I can use my corporate email account to unlock the devices in case of the end user have left the organization. So this is one of the use cases which I wanted to share it with the audience today. And the other use case was, is it possible for you to prevent the users from turning off the location? Yes. So you can go with the, again, restriction option where you have the location settings and you can choose this to be always on. So this will make sure the device is always being tracked and you can know the current location of the devices as well. Likewise, you can lock any type of restrictions profile you want to apply, say Wi-Fi to be always on, and the roaming data to be always on. So like this, you can make use of this restriction profile and apply it to your devices. All right, that's it. We've come to the end of the training. Please rate us on a scale of 1 to 5. And if you like your training program, please spread the word using the hashtag mobile device manager plus and /media platform, as we all connected on these media platforms these days. You can even spread your love using this hashtag. And next week, it will be about the modern management features for Windows 10 computers and MacBook using the MDM module. So we'll have two sessions, one at 6:30 GMT and 11:30 Eastern Time. And I thank everyone for joining the webinar. And I request everyone to take care and stay safe. Thank you.